Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking a deep dive into something I think pretty much all of us struggle with on a daily basis. That totally exhausting habit of trying to manage everything and everyone around us. We're constantly looking outward, right? But our goal here today is to completely shift that paradigm, to move away from all that external stress and build a little internal harmony. To do this, we'll be breaking down some really profound insights from Sadhguru, exploring why the ultimate life hack is actually just to concentrate on yourself and not on others.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever actually stopped to think about how this entire universe functions and, what your specific role in it actually is? It's a pretty massive question, but it's designed to challenge that everyday, almost instinctual urge we have to control the world around us. We spend so much of our time focusing on other people, what they're doing, how they're behaving, how we stack up against them. But is that really how we should be spending our limited time? Sadhguru has this completely fascinating perspective on this that might literally change how you approach your entire day. Let's get into it.
All right, starting us off with Section 1. Stop running the planet. It happens by itself.
Our very first major paradigm shift is all about letting go of what is, when it comes down to it, a total illusion of control. Sadhguru says, do not act like you are running the whole planet. You're a tiny little creature who is here for a little bit of time. Ouch, right? But it's humbling. He points out that the universe is just happening all by itself. We make such a big fuss about trying to micromanage just a few short years of our lives, but here's the absolutely crucial point. If you can just sit here and be a pleasant experience for yourself, everyone else around you will also experience you as a pleasant experience. Relinquishing this bizarre illusion that you're the general manager of the universe is step number 1.
Moving right along to Section 2, Navigating the Times. Ride the weather.
So once you actually let go of trying to run the whole planet, you have to look honestly at what you're actually doing with your own life. And to put this into perspective, think about the number 5,000. Whatever great things you will or won't achieve in this life are heavily subject to the era you live in. Nobody can take 100% of the credit for their situation. Think about it. If you were here 5,000 years ago, you definitely wouldn't be writing software or launching a tech startup, right? You'd be doing something entirely different. The things we accomplish today are really just a product of our times, so we really shouldn't walk around with this inflated ego, acting like we're entirely responsible for the structure of modern society. Instead of claiming all the credit, true success is actually just riding the weather gracefully. Every era has its own weather. Sometimes it's smooth sailing, and other times it is incredibly rough. If you create a massive problem out of every single little fluctuation, you basically become a failure in your own life experience. It's kind of like a wave surfer. A true surfer doesn't fight the ocean waves. Their absolute dream is to ride a tsunami, a 100-foot tall wave. If you actually know how to ride it, even a tsunami is a wonderful, exhilarating thing. And according to Sadhguru, that is exactly what true success looks like.
Okay, up next is Section 3, True Intelligence. Information versus internal awareness.
This brings us to a really critical shift in how we view our own minds. Modern society, tragically and fairly often, confuses basic data collection with actual intelligence. Like, people's idea of education today is just accumulating information. But here's the catch. Once you heap yourself with too much information, you completely lose your ability to hold your attention. You just end up blindly churning out data from memory. In the yogic system, the memory part of the mind is actually considered the least important. True intelligence is something entirely different from just hoarding facts. True intelligence involves this incredible concept called chitta. Chitta is the aspect of the mind that's deeply connected with consciousness. It's empowered by what Sadhguru calls life-making material. He explains that the mind is essentially like a nebulous cloud. You can shape it into literally anything. You can make it godlike, you can make a devil out of it, or even a pig out of it. Whatever shape you give to your chitta, it will absolutely manifest in the world because there is profound life-making energy right behind it.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, Sustained Attention, the Power of Focus.
To actually shape that nebulous cloud of the mind we just talked about, you need intense focus. And there's this mind-blowing story about this revolving around the number 5. Andrew Carnegie, who is one of the most successful industrialists in history, made a massive fortune in a very short span of time. This was way before the days of quick internet billionaires. Well, the US government was actually so suspicious of his rapid, insane success that they set up a Senate investigation committee. When they found zero malpractice, they basically just asked him, "What's your secret?" Carnegie simply said he could keep his mind focused on a single thing for 5 minutes at a stretch. 5 uninterrupted minutes. He challenged the senators to do the same, and guess what? They couldn't hold their attention for more than a few seconds. And honestly, that right there is the fate of most human beings today. So how do we fix this fractured focus? Sadhguru breaks our mental processing down into a few steps. First, there must be a general grasp of things, which is your basic attention. Just the fact that you know you exist requires a baseline level of attention. But here is the truly fascinating part. We only ever feel the need to narrow our focus down to one specific thing because our general attention just isn't keen enough. If our general attention was sharp and powerful enough, we wouldn't ever need to selectively focus on anything. We would just be supremely, completely attentive to everything around us.
To help us wrap our heads around this, Sadhguru uses this brilliantly simple light bulb analogy. He talks about practicing indiscriminate attention. Think about it. When you turn up the voltage of a light bulb in a room, the light doesn't sit there and think, whom should I focus on? It doesn't pick favorites based on what it likes or dislikes or what might be deemed useful or not. It just illuminates everything in the room equally. We need to stop discriminating with our attention and simply work on keying up our own internal voltage so we can see everything clearly.
And finally, we arrive at Section 5. Life is not a race. It is a privilege. When you're hyper-focused on other people, constantly competing, constantly trying to run the planet, you ultimately end up treating your life like a race. But Sadhguru has this darkly humorous take: if you win the race, you should be in the crematorium today. Just let that sink in for a second. Life is not a competition. If you genuinely think life is a race, and the ultimate goal is to get to the finish line as fast as possible, well, the finish line of life is literally death. Rushing through your days just to beat someone else simply means you are rushing toward the very end. So if life isn't a race, then what exactly is it? Well, it's a tremendous privilege. Sure, an ant or a grasshopper experiences the world in its own way, but as human beings, our ability to perceive and experience life is of a massively larger, more profound proportion. We can experience this world in incredibly vivid ways. That is the true significance of who we are. Our privilege is the simple, breathtaking act of experiencing life with that high-voltage, indiscriminate attention we were just talking about. Which brings us to our final thought to leave you with today. Are you just blindly rushing to the finish line, constantly looking sideways to check on how everyone else is running their race? Or are you actually experiencing the profound privilege of life? Turn up your internal voltage, ride the crazy waves of our times gracefully, and concentrate on shaping your own mind rather than exhausting yourself trying to run the planet. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Take a moment today to practice a little indiscriminate attention and just see how it changes your world. Catch you next time.